Is the 9 to 5 job over with? Hey guys, what's going on? I'm sorry, Hermdo back with you. TH is my dead name. That was the old channel name before, back when I did silly things, not serious things. But let's get into it. This is something from Reddit. This is about 6 months old, this little story here, but it's something I stumbled upon. I got this video recommended to me on YouTube. We'll get into that video later. It's from How Money Works. And he's talking about the end of the 9 to 5 job, just how this system set up where everybody is working a 40-hour week from a set time of day is kind of going away. And just like the kind of flaws in that system, and maybe like a new kind of work schedule or a new kind of approach to work that could replace it. But let's get into it. Now it has something on Twitter. Your 9 to 5 job is dying by 2034. It'll be extinct. That's Reid Hoffman's latest prediction, the founder of LinkedIn, who predicted the rise of social media in 1997. So let's see some comments here. Yeah, you'll be working longer. Considering it's now 8 to 5, I say we already lost the 9 to 5. Hate how things are now. The forced workaholic idiot tells me that they work 1,000 hours a week, having time off. Having time for a life outside of work you can afford is what everyone should strive for. Working 9 to 5, sitting in traffic for 2 hours, there isn't much time for life. Been experiencing this pretty hard. It's been working an awesome new job, but due to traffic, it's at least an hour one way. Clear roads is 28 minutes. I rarely have time to do anything during my work week. And I've experienced this too. I work 4 10s during the week, and before and after work, I really don't have much time to do much of anything most of the time, because I get home at 2 in the morning. I work second shift, and basically after 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours, I'm too cooked to do anything except just kind of watch maybe an hour or two of television. Then I take my sleep meds and I pass out. I get up in the morning, maybe around noon, maybe around 1 o'clock, and then I have like another hour, 2 hours to myself. And I can do some stuff in that period of time, but it's just, right now, I'm going to work in about an hour and a half, but so I got a little bit of time, but just that kind of thing. So I haven't worked like a 9 to 5, 8 hours, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week kind of thing in a while. It's been about 3 years now, but so it's, work is changing in a lot of ways. You're going to be, it usually means you're going to be working longer hours, or in some instances, in some job fields, you're going to be working less hours because there's just not going to be enough for you to do. And Dave Graeber talks about this in the book Bullshit Jobs. I'm reading it right now. I might do a video on that later, but there was another video. I'll talk about, there was another video. It's like a 2-hour long video talking about how jobs are fake and money is fake. I forgot the name of the guy that uploaded it, but it was a really interesting video, and I'll try to find it. Maybe we'll discuss it a little bit later, discuss Dave Graeber a little bit later, but basically, like, the nature of your work is going to change. So, yeah. Yeah, the song 9 to 5 really missed me, LOL. What a way to make a living. 7 to 6, lucky, I hear you. Right now, I work 3 p.m. to 1:30 a.m., and, I got Fridays off, which is good, but, like, Friday, I'm usually just out of it. You work those 4 10s, and then you need Friday to recover. Then you have Saturday and Sunday to yourself, but let's get into this a little bit more. Is the death of the workday, is 9 to 5 working obsolete? This is from June of last year. The 9 to 5 workday used to be standard for all employees, but that's changed quite a bit over the last few years. Freelancing and self-employment are on the rise, and there's been a steady shift towards implementing remote work plans. According to the Pew Research Center, 35% of employees whose jobs can be done remotely take advantage of their opportunity full-time, while 41% do so at least some of the time, with the vast majority of this segment working remotely in the last 3 days per week. Yeah, it's the job economy. It's the gig economy, too. Grubhub and DoorDash and Instacart and all these other kind of gig jobs where you basically put in a few hours at the end of the day. Or I did Grubhub for a while myself a couple of years ago when I was really struggling for money, and it helped. But there's other offsets from it, like the cost of gas, and if leaving your car running 8 hours a day is not great for it, obviously. So you might have to pay for some repairs. But, I was doing that on the weekends and I was clearing like 200, $300 sometimes. But I'd have to be working like 8 hours a day on my days off. And I'm just like, it sucks, but that's the extra thing you have to tack onto it. So you're adding maybe 10, 15, 20 hours onto your work week and also doing other kind of things. Like if you could be working remote and the kind of jobs you do, how long it takes you. I remember those videos came out a couple years ago, all these girls working like tech jobs or coding jobs or like sales rep or not, maybe like some kind of marketing job where they'd go into some big building and they'd sip their green tea and put their eucalyptus towels on their face and maybe code for like 3 hours a week and clear like $250,000 a year. That kind of stuff is going away. I mean, in the tech layoffs, that kind of thing is disappearing. And obviously, that's a different thing. I mean, depending on like the nature of work, it's like, how much work are you actually getting done? And that's a question you got to ask yourself. But let's get a little bit more into this article. The 9-to-5 workday assumes that employees log a standard 40-hour work week. They start working at 9 a.m. and, other than a few short breaks, don't stop till 5 p.m. While the schedule may sound rigid, 16-hour workdays were the norm during the Industrial Revolution. Welsh social reformer Richard Owen saw this as unsustainable and began campaigning for an 8-hour workday. The rationale was that there are at least 24 hours available in the day, so we should aim to balance them equally between work, leisure, and rest. Henry Ford was among the first to introduce the 8-hour workday back in 1914 and proved to be a success for the Ford Motor Company in terms of increased productivity and profitability. So other companies quickly followed suit. Yeah, he did that, and he introduced like the $5 a day pay program where his workers can now afford his car. So he essentially increased his customer base because all of his employees were buying Ford Model A's or Model T's, whatever was around back then. It seemed that this was the beginning for an inexorable trend towards working less. In 1930, John Maynard Keynes predicted that his grandchildren would have to work only 15 hours per week thanks to technology. Clearly, Keynes' prediction didn't come to fruition, as the 40-hour work week has remained essentially unchanged for decades, and in many countries, people routinely work longer hours than that. However, Keynes was right to expect profound cultural and technological changes, and increasingly many people are asking whether the 9-to-5 workday is still the way to go. As far as work-life balance goes, I know there's a lot of discussion and debate about that kind of thing, like how much can you work? How much do you have to work? Because you hear stories about people working second, maybe even third jobs, putting in 60, 70, 80 hours a week just to keep a roof over their heads. And some guys do it, you got some of these grind set guys, these Sigma male dudes who are always talking about like putting in all these extra hours with their side hustles and whatnot. I know a buddy of mine, he turned a side hustle into a full-time job. It took him years and years to do, and he put hours and hours into it. He was working like 100-hour weeks to get this thing off the ground. And he's successful now. He makes a good amount of money doing this shit now, but man, he was struggling for a while, because it takes a lot of sacrifice, but he's his own boss now, but and that's kind of, we talk a lot about that, a lot of this getting out of that 9-to-5 grind and finding some other way to do it. How many more people are going to be owning businesses now? I mean, look at all the landlords out there buying rental properties, buying duplexes, buying townhouses, whatever, turning them into a rental property. You go on Zillow to look at a house, and almost every single description of the house says this could be great for first-time home buyers or investors. You could turn this into a rental property and charge $1,200 a month, $1,400 a month, wherever, and there's various pitfalls that come with that kind of thing. But, that's another way to make money. Another way to get out, just become your own boss, become a property owner or something like that. There's other ways outside the 9-to-5 work week, but even that idea, you're going to be doing that's your full thing. When you start a business, that's your whole life. I've known friends started businesses, like my one buddy, that was his whole life. Everything he did was in service of his business. He was eating, breathing, sleeping that business. So, excuse me. Anyways, okay, I got this other article from Forbes. Working 9 to 5, prepare for extinction. Reid Hoffman's prediction that 9 to 5 jobs will be extinct by 2034 caused a major stir when this video of LinkedIn co-founder resurfaced on social media forecasting an extinction level event for the job market, a chilling claim for the man who predicted the rise of social media in 1997 made for a viral tweet and countless click-worthy headlines. The gig economy revolution is coming, and it's bigger than you think. Within a decade, 50% of the U.S. population will be freelancers. Yeah, I was going to remark on that too. It was mentioned in the other article, but there's ways you could do it. You could be, I mean, there's freelancer writing jobs. I like to write in my free time. You can write articles, you can write listicles, short stories. You can basically, there's some websites, I can't tell off the top of my head. I was researching this earlier. I got it saved somewhere. But you can write for these articles or write for these websites, and like after every 2,000 words, they can pay you upwards of $100, maybe even more. So they're going to be doing freelance work, these side gigs, the side hustles, that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, people are finding alternative means to make money. YouTube is a side hustle for me. You know, I'm hoping to make money doing this someday. I'm going to put some links so you guys can support the channel down below. I'm trying to make some more money too, man. I'm a broke motherfucker, but that's the thing. AI will profoundly reshape how we work. Rather than working for one company for many years, workers should prepare for work as many jobs across multiple industries. He's far from the only one raising alarm. This alarm on this, the World Economic Forum has forecasted AI will replace 85 million jobs globally by 2025, but also AI will create 89 million new jobs. That's the thing. Whenever you have new technology coming forward, like the robotic assembly line, that took jobs from people, you know, 30, 40 years ago, but we were able to create more jobs to compensate by maintaining and programming and fixing these machines. You know, basically people were like robotic experts. I actually took a class about a decade ago about robot programming and just learning like the basics of the software and whatnot, what it takes, about like the robotic like cell, how it moves, how it welds things, picks up parts and whatnot. And you got to put all this information, all these inputs in. But that was a job that was created, you know, after like some robot took somebody else's job. So, but with the AI thing, I don't know what kind of jobs it could create, but you can. I saw these things like these TikTok guys, and they were creating AI stuff. They're like, I make $14,000 a month posting AI stuff on TikTok. They're probably full of shit, but I mean, well, their business model was basically just, I'm going to create an image in AI of like $100 TV, $1,000 TV, $1,000,000 TV, and put it on TikTok and put some affiliate links or whatever and clear thousands of dollars. Like you can generate this kind of stuff and using the right hashtags and the right marketing and whatnot, you can get like $1 million a video. And there's some kind of a TikTok. I know TikTok's kind of up in the air now, but you can make money doing that kind of shit. They're like every million views, you get like a certain amount of money going into your bank account or whatever. They'll pay you for views. You know, people. These guys said that's a full-time thing. That's a different kind of thing. I've known what it's like to make content. You know, I've grinded, you know, working up first 3 hours of the day. You're making content, you're writing scripts, you're editing videos. You go to work 10 hours, you come home, next 3 hours before you go to bed, you're filming stuff, you're editing stuff, you know, you're going through the motions of it. And I know like having a job working, you know, working essentially what's a side hustle, that can be, you know, a real pain in the ass, but you can burn out on that. I burnt out a little bit on it. I was doing that for a few months and I was just like, bro, I gotta just chill on that shit. I'm gonna have a fucking stroke or something. The startling predictions deserve our immediate attention and action. The proactive outlook will prepare workers for doors to close while new ones open. First, let's consider that 38% of American workforce is already freelancing to some extent, and many made the shift by choice. Many, too, are thriving. The American Opportunity Survey conducted by McKinsey revealed that freelancers tend to be far more optimistic both about their futures and the outlook for the economy than the average American worker. People have already chosen to eschew full-time work for self-employment, and freelancing tend to have certain skills and characteristics that make them well-equipped for the gig economy. They're flexible self-starters who can juggle multiple projects, and managers who know how to manage a market, a personal brand, and valuable offerings. how to position their skills in relation to a company's specific needs. Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to market yourself. You're going to have to sell yourself, not just to your bosses, not just during interviews, trying to impress some HR person. Now you got to improve. You have to build like your own customer base and sell yourself and market yourself. Like you have to act. You have to like treat yourself like a business. You have to be. You become like your own personal LLC or something. You gotta put yourself out there in a sense and try to accrue some wealth and stuff. Freelancers and gig workers are almost always looking for work, so they're constantly looking for ways to improve upon the skills and offerings. That's why freelancers and gig workers are increasingly preferable to hiring managers, mostly responsive to a rapidly evolving market. How do you, someone else, would be happy with your full-time job and concerned about impending extinction, prepare not only survive, but thrive in a shift to gig work? There are two key recommendations for thinking about new skills for a new age and new networks for a new experience. There are no, I wish this mouse is fucked. There are no small lift, especially when judging full-time work and life responsibilities like parenting, education. Can be time-consuming and expensive, and traditional institutions are loath to respond quickly to changes in the job market. I wrote this in the college devaluation crisis. Market disruption must be disruption. Diminishing return on investment and alternative future of learning. So yeah, what kind of skills are you going to be able to market yourself as? Like I work in the manufacturing industry right now. I had to switch career fields. I was working in the STEM field. I was doing CAD design, computer aided drafting for those that don't know. I was designing tools and whatnot, and like sometimes class A car paneling. And then that dried up for me. I got laid off in 2018. I spent like a year bouncing around from job to job, low pay shit. And then, like during the pandemic, I got my old job back in a manufacturing way now, and I learned how to run machines. I learned how to gauge metal. I learned how to use calipers. I learned how to do all this kind of stuff, read blueprints, change tooling, machine stuff, sharpen tools, and what have you. I had to learn a whole new set of skills to basically adapt. And now manufacturing's in a recession. Will it bounce back in the next year? Maybe. But I'm faced with the fact that, hey, I might have to change industries again. And I'm pushing 40. This sucks. But a lot of people are facing that too, where you're going to have to find some way to do it. Then this whole idea, you're going to be able to get by working 40 hours a week. People don't want to hear it. I'm not happy about it. I don't want to work a bunch of gig jobs and burn myself out, but that's the way you got to do it. You got to have that grind, baby, that hustle and grind shit. Anyways, let's get into this. The end of the soul-crushing 9-to-5 job. Here's why it's about time. Listen up, gang. I've got some seriously good news. Looks like the era of the dreaded 9-to-5 job is finally ending. Someone who's been stuck in one of those soul-destroying office jobs for years. You have no idea how pumped I am about this. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I like my 9-to-5. It gives me stability and benefits. Sure, I get that. Let's be real. Most of us clocking into the same office day after day, year after year, slowly kills our spirits. We're meant for more than that. The whole concept of the 9-to-5 is super outdated anyway. It was created by labor unions back in the 1800s, when most people worked in factories or on assembly lines. Punching a time clock and working set hours made sense back then. But these days, with so many of us working in services, sales, or office jobs, it just doesn't fit. Our work comes and fits and starts. When we're swamped with other days, we're staring at our screens trying to look busy. There's no consistency. Yeah, we're still expected to sit at our desk for 8 hours a day. Make it make sense. Yeah. There's periods when I worked in engineering, we stayed busy most of the time, but in a few engineering jobs I had, more than a few, it was you would come in and there'd be nothing for you to do. And one company, we were a big plant, essentially, a big factory, and there was the office section of that. I worked in the office portion of the building, and then work dried up there. They sent me into the shop. What I was doing, that was when the new Ford F-150 was coming out about a decade ago. They were using an aluminum frame. They had all these aluminum parts, handmade, expensive aluminum parts, laying around all these shops. They had 3 big buildings, 3 big warehouses, big factories, and I had to go around to each of these factories, gather up all these parts, and like put them in a section. But I was doing that kind of stuff. I wasn't designing it. I didn't design anything for like the last 8 months I was there. I was gathering parts. I was cataloging this stuff. But They had something for me to do at least. But the thing is, some of these jobs just don't. You'll go in, there'll be nothing for you to do. You'll ask, hey, should I just go home? Some places will be like, yeah, don't bother coming in today. Work is slow. And then some places will be like, yeah, you just sit. You'll just sit and listen to YouTube or whatever for 8 hours a day because there'll be nothing in. Maybe a couple small jobs trickle in here and there. But there's so many of these jobs that have like nothing to do. And your skills will kind of just fade. I worked this one job where I was basically making PowerPoint presentations. I'd run this software to like test the surface integrity of these parts. We were doing like heat shields for exhaust. And so we were doing like pressure testing or heat testing on these things, running this software. I would upload the data onto PowerPoint, make a little presentation, and send it to my boss. I did that, 6-7 times a day, sometimes more, sometimes less. But that's kind of shit I was doing. I thought I was going to be designing shit. I worked there for a year. I maybe spent a week using the software to actually design parts. I was just doing the PowerPoint shit. And I got paid well doing it. I'm not complaining, but it's just one of those things. There's a lot of places out there. You feel your skills start to stagnate. That's the thing. And it's just like, did I really need 40 hours a week to do that job or any of these other jobs? Probably not. Okay, let's see. Technology has made it way easier for folks to work multiple jobs at once, and millions of people are doing it. Crazy stats, 8.4 million Americans are working more than one job right now. 850,000 more people have added a second job in the past year alone. This trend of overemployment allows people to earn more money and have a lot more flexibility in their schedules. For example, maybe you work at a regular office job for 9 to 5, then drive for Uber or deliver for DoorDash at night and on the weekends. While working 70, 80 hours a week isn't ideal. It beats being trapped in one underpaid 9 to 5 job. Does it? Who's writing this shit? Reality Reload? Oh, no thank you. People are realizing they can ditch the single full-time job and make more money piecing together work however they choose. So we talk about the freelancer contracting room. Yeah, there's contracting work as well. Yep, all sorts of stuff, gig economy stuff. Yeah, so you're just going to be doing these side hustles and shit. That's the future of it. But How Money Works had a good video on this. Let's finish with watching a few minutes of this.
Amount of output. If you work in a modern office job, you will know that your work is nothing like this. Sometimes there is a lot to do, and sometimes there is nothing to do. But you still need to be there 8 hours a day looking busy no matter what. Back when the 40-hour week was being fought for by workers' unions, most Americans worked in manufacturing. But today, most people work in the services sector, which is more diverse than you might expect. Unless you are working on a farm or in a factory, you are a service worker, and your job could be anything from making strategic corporate decisions to making coffees. Clearly, these jobs are very different, and should have a different schedule, but most of the corporate world has tried to make the 9 to 5 fit all jobs. But this doesn't work, because no service jobs have tasks consistently delivered on a fine-tuned production line. Work comes and goes as internal and external customers make demands, and that means when people are busy and need to do more than 8 hours in a day to finish their work, they are expected to work, quote, reasonable unpaid overtime. According to an ADP Research Institute study of office professionals, unpaid overtime jumped to an average of 9.2 hours per week in 2021, more than a full extra day to keep up with employer demands. But when there is little to no work to do because a project has just been completed or sales are seasonally slow, workers are still expected to put in the 40 hours a week because that's what the business is paying them for. If you're in this kind
of... so many of these places are sold by the book. I like my job. I like where I work, but at the same time, it's just like, they got to be by the book. You got to be working. They expect you in there. But there's times, like during the season where things are slow. Oh, fuck off, ESPN. But there are times when it's slow, and you'll basically miss a couple days of work every couple weeks. But during the work week, you're expected to go in there. A lot of people like with Gen Z, like my last video that got like 4,000 views, most successful video ever. That's the thing. A lot of people aren't showing up, and it adds extra work onto my plate because we have orders we got to fill. Oh, there's no other way to do it. Normally I don't work Friday, but excuse me. But sometimes I go in on a Friday, sometimes Saturday too. It's not uncommon to work 60 hours a week here. But yeah, that's the thing. that's another example of the work week changing and, a lot of employers trying to compensate for it. I mean, but working unpaid overtime, that's some bullshit, man. That's the kind of shit unions are meant to prevent. I wish we had a bigger base for unions in this country. I wish more people, more workers had protections. I know it sounds like a socialist or something. What do you like, Bernie or something? But hey, I think that's the way you got to do. You got to be, someone's got to watch your back at the workplace, man.
Kind of job, your best option is to try and find something that makes you look busy. But if you don't have something to work on, you are probably going to be given meaningless tasks just to fill the mandatory 8-hour day. If this was just another story about companies screwing over their workers with outdated business practices, it wouldn't need a video. But the 40-hour work week isn't even good for companies. So it's time to learn how money works to find out why we might be in the midst of the overdue collapse of the 9-to-5. According to data from the US Census Bureau, McKinsey & Company, and compiled by Statista, growth in gig work and freelance jobs have outgrown typical permanent jobs by 500% over the last decade. Gig work apps have become very popular with unskilled workers due to their low barrier to entry and flexible working arrangements. Someone with a phone and a bike can start working for a food delivery service like Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, Grubhub, or all of them all at the same time in less than an hour by filling out an online form. This has been a highly appealing alternative to minimum wage jobs that still rely on the antiquated process of handing in a resume, spending weeks doing job interviews, only to still get ghosted by a fast food joint offering $7.25 an hour for an unpredictable schedule. Gig work jobs usually also pay terribly, but people get to work as much as they want, when they want, and they can work around another full-time job for extra money.
Yeah, that's the future of work right there. You're just gonna have to tack on a bunch of extra shit, like I said before. But people got to make more money somehow. That's the thing. You'll be working longer hours you'll get technically more money, but there's just offsets to it. There's other ways, like you're going to be spending money to make money essentially. And how valuable is your time? Like this idea, the work and leisure kind of idea, the trade-off we had, some people call it the 4-hour life. Like, after you get home, you have 4 hours to yourself after work. Now, what do you do with those 4 hours? Chances are you're going to be going out and doing some DoorDash or something, or some Uber, or what have you. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I think this whole idea of, just getting by with 40 hours, I know it's ridiculous. Like even Bernie Sanders was talking about this, how undignified it is that you can work 40 hours at a job in this country and not be able to afford to live on your own. But that's the way it is. A lot of factors play into it, but just America's really struggling with this kind of thing, and it sucks. It sucks. I don't want to work more hours. I don't want to have to put more hours in, but that's just the world we live in right now. So that's all I got for you guys for right now. Wish I could end on a happier note, but thank you very much. I'll have some support links down below if you guys can click on those. I got a Cash App and a PayPal. If you want to support the channel, toss me a couple of bucks. That'd be great. That'd really help out, and I can in turn help other people with that money. There's a couple guys I know kind of struggling right now, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.